I call this meeting of the Hurst-Euless-Bedford Independent School District to order. The record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Good evening to everybody. Tonight, the Board of Trustees is meeting in a called work session board meeting. The board welcomes and appreciates comments and input from the community. Open forum is provided at each meeting to allow the public to address the board. There will be two open forums tonight. Open forum number 1 is to hear requests regarding agenda items only. Open forum number 2 is to hear requests or make comments regarding non-agenda items and will be heard at the end of the meeting. Those addressing the board are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes per meeting. The speaker should identify his or her name, group affiliation if any, and make a brief presentation with an identified solution if one is sought. Remarks should be addressed to the board as a whole. Oral presentations may not include charges against any employee or board member by name. It is my responsibility to determine if the person addressing the board has attempted to resolve a concern informally or through the district's complaint policies. If not, the speaker will be directed to follow the appropriate policy. The board requests that all presentations be made in a courteous, respectful, and professional manner and asks that speakers monitor their own behavior. If you wish to speak during one of the open forums, please fill out one of the cards located on the table in the entry hall. Any comments, Dr. Arrington?
So we are excited tonight. We are having a graduation. Yay! So Darnica Price was a student at LD Bell. She has successfully completed her Texas Assessment of Knowledge and Skills graduation requirements, and through provisions in Administrative Code 74.1027, she has now earned her high school diploma. And so at this time, I'm going to call her name for graduation. Darnica Monique Price. Congratulations.
That's a way to
Yeah,
start the night.
that is. We always like celebrations. All right. Any additional comments? How do you follow that?
I can't top that.
Okay. All right. Any clarifications?
None at this time.
Okay. All right. We're ready for open forum number 1. Nope. Then at this time, we will adjourn into closed session. Pursuant to Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551, the board will adjourn into closed session pursuant to sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, and 551.076. This time the board is reconvening into open session. We are ready for reports and presentations. 6.01 disbursements for the month of September 2024. Any questions on that? All right, 6.02 summer school report. Dr. Johnson.
Good evening. We are here to bring you the summer school numbers and information on summer school 2024. And so I'd like to bring up Ms. Clark to get us started.
Good evening. Good evening. So this report, everything presented to you tonight falls under the 2 district priorities of student success and family and community partnerships. Quality indicators 1 through 4 under student success, and then quality indicator 2 under family and community partnerships. So our 2024 summer school programs for elementary were the Elementary Early Language Proficiency Program, or ELP, summer school for our limited English speakers leaving pre-K and kindergarten. Elementary Language Enrichment for rising 3rd through 6th graders. The Elementary Summer Enrichment Program for rising 3rd through 6th graders. And then secondary regular summer school credit recovery and credit advancement, secondary end of course preparation and retest, and Secondary Language Academy program. And Ms. Stokic will talk about secondary programs to y'all in just a minute. So for our elementary summer success, again, we had our ELP program. Again, this is our federally mandated program, and we have to meet a certain number of hours, so that's the reason it goes longer, June 3rd to June 28th. And then we had our Language Enrichment Academy, which was held at Harrison Lane with our other enrichment course that was going on, and ELP Summer School was held at Oakwood Terrace. Dr. Angie Serino coordinated all the elementary programs, and Franco Rivera was the site coordinator for the ELP program at Oakwood Terrace, and Rachel Thornberry was the site coordinator for language enrichment at Harrison Lane. Here are our numbers, and you can see when you look back over the history since 2017, this was our biggest program in a number of years. We had that one odd COVID year in 2020. We had very few students. That was an anomaly, but we went over 400 for the first time. So very big turnout for our ELP summer school. Again, these are our students that are learning English. They're leaving pre-K and kindergarten. And all students are invited that are emerging bilingual students. And we had 419 show up. Yes?
Darla, I love this. Curious, why? Why the high number?
Well, we have more. We have more students. As you know, we're growing in our emerging bilingual numbers. I think we're about 26%, 26.2, something like that, in emerging bilinguals. And this is a full-day program, and so parents like that. So, and we're glad they like it. We want them to come. And so they had an average daily attendance of 87.8%. We would like that to be higher, but we'll take that for our little ones. And then for our language enrichment, these were, again, rising 3rd through 6th graders. The way it's reported on this slide for consistency for past years, it's those leaving 2nd through 5th grades. So those are our rising 3rd through 6th graders. And it looks like we had less, but we didn't have 1st graders this year, so that throws that number off a little bit. Our attendance was not as strong with our bigger kiddos, 77% total. And then our summer enrichment program, also run by Rachel Thornberry as the site coordinator, was at Harrison Lane. Same dates as the language enrichment. And here's our numbers for that program. So we had 351 rising 3rd through 6th graders that came to that. And here's a breakdown of attendance for each of those grade levels. 80.66% average daily attendance. And then I wanted to include the percentage of invited students that attended. So we had 83% attend that were invited. That's it for elementary. Any questions before I hand it over to Ms. Stokic? All right.
So our secondary summer school, run by the same folks that have been running it for several years. Brent Langham has been our secondary coordinator, I think, since before I was retired. Jason Wiles and Nick Cervini is also helping out. I want you to pay attention to this slide. You'll notice that we had one more participant this year, 705, compared to 704 last year, which may seem a bit odd when you see this slide and it looks like the numbers are going down from 541 in 2023 to 359 this year and 439 to 279. But this is accounted by a change in, I guess, accounting, you could say. Prior, for every course that a student was enrolled in, they counted that person. So if I took 3 courses, I was counted 3 times. This year, they just counted you once. So we had 2 courses. If I took both of them, I would just counted once. So that 705 shows that we're just about where we were previously. It just looks slightly different here. The credit advancement looks very similar to it has in other years. Our success rate, 91% success rate in the first semester for recovery and 81% in the second semester. And then for advancement, 100% and 99%. Our budget, as you can see, for staff, curriculum, and transportation, for a total of just a little over $800,000. And then, Dr. Elledge, do you have any questions about secondary summer school? I think it was a very successful program. Thank you. You are welcome, my friend.
Good evening. Always glad to be here with y'all. And I'm going to go over a couple of things for summer. I just put our strategic plan alignment up here. And then HEB Reads, this was our 7th annual event. Everyone differs on the numbers. We don't actually count, you know, the number of people that are there every year. Bedford Police gives me a number, Euless gives me a number, Hurst gives me a number. None of them are the same. But we counted roughly by books, and we gave away approximately 3,200 books to children. So we know there were adults and others there, but a lot of fun was had by all. There's a great little 30, maybe 40-second Instagram reel that I put in here if you want to look at that a little later. But to give you the data on the numbers, and we rounded these just to make it easy, Euless has never made it to 1.5 million, so we were really excited that they got that far this year. Bedford at 3.6 and then Hurst at 3.7. Bedford asked for a recount, and I said no. But the total minutes for the school district was 2.5 million, so that's our students, which was a little over a 7% increase from last year. And then the community as a whole actually went down a little bit from 2023. But overall, we were super excited because we have never hit 8.8 million minutes before. 6.7 had been our highest, and so we were really excited. This is the digital billboard that we are looking at putting up at Bedford-Euless Road and 183. So we're going to put it eastbound and westbound at the end of this month. So, because there were so many people that participated. It was absolutely amazing. Any questions on HEB Reads? Our 2025 date is May 17th, and In and Out is returning, Dr. Joe, to HEB Reads next year. So we're really excited. You love a good birthday. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We decided to change up our STEM that we had been doing, the take and make that we'd done the past couple of summers, and we changed it to STEM and swim. So we took it to the aquatic centers because there are kids everywhere. Inside, outside, you know, and we had such a good time. The city libraries actually took this project over, and we did not have to do it this summer. This is the first time I've not driven around and done it, but we actually had to purchase more kits because we had had a limit kind of set up for each one, and we ran out sometime in the middle of July. So over 1,800 kits we gave out this summer to kids. And then we also did our Mission to Mars camp. So we had 97 kids over the 2-week period. They did have the same 4 classes to choose from. At the end of their week, they each got to take their device home. So yes, we sent rockets home with children, but they had safety training, so they know how to handle it. We sent home robots and drones, and we sent home some carpentry tools with our terrain kids, and they were really excited. We got to have a virtual field trip to the Jet Propulsion Lab in Pasadena. That was really neat. The kids enjoy that. Euless Police Department came and did a drone demo for us, which was very interesting. And then we had our friends from Bell Flight visit us to do some engineering challenges and talk to the kids about their designs. So we are going to apply for this grant again this year. Hopefully this will be year number 5 for us, and SMU and I have already started working on our application. And then I added one more thing this summer. This was a partnership that came up out of a meeting I think that Dr. Joe had. Design Connect Create is a women run STEM program. They're a nonprofit, but they say that their primary purpose is to help girls realize the potential in STEM and in themselves. And it was a wonderful week. We did a 1-week program at Central for 6th and 7th grade girls. We did it the 2nd week in June. They got to take a field trip to the Perot Museum. Many of them had never been there before, and they could not. You should have seen them get off the bus. Their faces were just. I said, "So what was your favorite part?" And it was like boom, 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 boom. You know, every kid wanted to tell me what their favorite part was. We did one later in July at Bel Air for 4th and 5th grade girls. They got to take a trip, and I'm totally blanking on the name of the place. It's in Dallas. It's like a giant makerspace. I don't remember the name of it. But then they also got to go to Bell as well. So they got to actually do 2. And this was completely free. It was completely free to the district. It was completely free for these girls. And then we are also working with DCC to start. We've already started an after-school program for girls at Bel Air and South Euless for the fall. And I think that's it for me. Any questions? Okay. Ms. Harris, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good summer.
It was.
Hello. We also had lots of camps for advanced academics and GT students. Oh, do I have a thing? I do. The first one is our annual partnership with the National Inventors Hall of Fame Camp Invention. This year's theme was Illuminate. And I owe a debt of gratitude to Bell Manor Elementary because we had the biggest group of kids that I think we may have ever had for Camp Invention. Now you'll notice we had a lot of helpers as well. Everything was controlled chaos, but we took up every inch of the pod we were in for sure for our camp. The only expenditure we have for this camp is to pay for the nurse, because I think it's kind of important that we have a nurse available. But we did put that nurse sort of on call and shared her with the other campus to whom I owe a huge debt of gratitude, that's Central Junior High. Everything you hear, Central Junior High, everybody had their camps at Central. It was a happening place this summer. So our middle grades camp was an invention project, also a product of National Inventors Hall of Fame. I bought some modules from the company, and then I had science teachers from Central Junior High guiding the students as they did the experiments with the modules. Our part-time consultant was Kendall Freeze doing improv in the mornings with the students. So if you want some entertainment, imagine a bunch of very science-minded students learning all about improv. It was delightful. They had a great time once they kind of got warmed up. It was really fun to see them outside of their normal comfort zone. I loved it. Now, to help our IB students have good schedules during the school year, we always offer our 2-week IB Summer Academy. So that's for students who are committed to IB in their sophomore year on up. And we had a large number of students. They take health and speech and PE and economics, but the largest group has by far become our research class. Nearly all of our IB students take the research class, which lets them get started on their 4,000-word extended essay under the mentorship of teachers and some of the EE mentors, a trip to the library. So it's a really worthwhile investment of their time for sure. They get a great start on that massive writing project. At the same time as IB Summer Academy, we run our PSAT prep for our superintendent scholars. So these are our rising 10th graders who were identified based on their PSAT results on the 8-9 test that they took back in 8th grade. We don't charge tuition for this course, and we give the students the SAT book to take with them. So we make a good investment here in our PSAT preps superintendent scholars. And then we move on that next summer, the students who score really well on their PSAT in 10th grade, we offer them the opportunity to participate in Katy College Prep in a district partnership that we've had for many years. We had 88 students qualify this year, and we have 35 students who are currently participating. And when I say currently, they have until tomorrow night. They'll be taking the PSAT and MSQT on Wednesday, so they can go to practice sessions all the way until tomorrow night. We went out and visited them, pulled them out of class for a little bit last week and the week before, and gave them the last little pep rally and boost of encouragement. And we have a really good, really conscientious group of students who are ready to see if they can achieve that greatness that they aspire to. And then the last slide here, I'm just going to just fill this one in. This doesn't fall under me anymore, but it's a camp that I worked with and started, and that's our Camp Call, our Chinese and Arabic language learning. And Monica Ubius does a wonderful job of running this program now. And the funding was requested, I believe means that they did a special request for the funding to do this camp to encourage our students to take Chinese and Arabic and to stick with them. Do you have any questions? Mr. Campos?
So I have a quick question, because I'm one of these people that read your notes. Was there anything particular as to, there was a few students that in the IB Summer Academy that dropped out? Was there a
Right.
correlation or anything that we could do differently, or is there anything that
I mean,
bubbled
we'll always, oh, sorry, go ahead.
was there anything that bubbled to the top or anything?
No, a lot of times it's just summer jobs that come up and things that come up. We definitely do talk with the students and, are you sure you want to do this? And generally that's the situation, is a lifeguarding opportunity came up or some other, summer job came up. And they know that their IB coordinator will work it out so they can take economics during the school year. And they have other options too now as we have more opportunities for dual credit. They have more places where they can do that even over the summer. So some of them end up doing that as well, which is great. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
And just to close things up, we came to you in late August and we talked about our summer programs and specifically summer enrichment and the impact that they could have on our students and how we could reallocate those funds to intervention within the school day with kids that we know are already at school. So just wanted to bring this forward for those in our public to know that we're still committed to these programs. The only change that we are looking for in the summer of 2025 is that we reallocated those summer enrichment, those dollars, and we'll be looking to replace experiences with kids.
All right. Thank you. Any questions? All right. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. All right, 6.03, TASB Board Policy Update 123. Ms. Tuttle?
So you received all of the policies included in Update 123 from TASB. And so this first item has to do with our legal policies, statute, as well as our administrative regulations and exhibits. And as you read about in the Friday update, all of our policy owners have worked through all of these policies over the past month and a half. And we have shared those with the individuals who needed to give input. And we're asking that you We're not asking that you approve them, we're asking that you become aware of them. Questions?
Any questions on these policy updates? All right, revision to DED regulation.
Okay, and this was also provided to you in the Friday update, but this is our regulation on vacations and holidays, and specifically, we've made a couple revisions to this policy to catch up to some practices and conditions that have changed since it was developed. And so the main changes that you see are the increase in the accumulation number as well as the extension through the end of the school year to utilize vacation. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, 6.05, report on change order number 1 for Bel Air Elementary. Mr. Minor.
Good evening, Board. This one is a formality for us closing out the Bel Air project, but we wanted to bring it to you just to let you know how much we are bringing back to the Board. So if you'd like to accept that, we'll be glad to put it into an account.
Maybe somebody should say it out loud.
How much was that, Josh?
Let's see, let's just make sure I got it right, because I don't want to miss a zero or anything. That'd be $1,505,891. 0 cents. What's that?
I'm sure we'll find somewhere else to spend that.
I'm sure we do. There's a few places you say when and I'll put it there.
And Dobie, I was asked a question, so just for clarity, will this go right into the locally defined, or will it go into the fund balance to be moved? What is the mechanism there? It'll go into locally defined.
Right back to where it came from, right?
Listen, I don't think we should gloss over this. In this economical environment that we're in right now, and with the costs of everything escalating, it's really incredible to be getting this much money back, and that comes from a lot of hard work from you and everyone involved in the projects, and I think we should thank you for that.
I appreciate that.
On time and under budget.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Thank you, Josh.
All right, thank you.
All right, we're ready for our regular board meeting agenda items. 7.01, budget transfer and amendment request for October 2024. Mr. Williams.
Okay, I'm not sure how the agenda got put in this order where I have to follow up $1.5 million in the good direction with $2 million in the other direction. So you've got in October, we did a really kind of a detailed Friday update that broke this down a little different to make it a little easier to follow, because there's a lot of numbers moving around there, most of which in October we're moving around payroll after, we've done estimates with our budget, and now we're taking actuals and moving all those around within functions, which is what we gave you in the Friday update. The other part was $400,000. If you remember back when Justin and David did their presentations on bus replacement and vehicle maintenance, we just said we were going to try to give them $400,000 for some more buses, try to catch up on that this year. So that's that. We absorbed that $400,000 on the revenue side with interest revenue that we hadn't budgeted, so we just kind of absorbed that into the budget. And then the biggie was the SROs, that little over $2 million budget amendment to be able to move forward with placing SROs at our campuses. So be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions on the budget transfers? All right, let's move down to 7.02, quarterly investment report for quarter ending August 2024.
Okay, you've got the quarterly investment report there. As you know, the Fed's moved the discount rate down about 0.5%, so that's, of course, going to impact investments long term. Not so good for investments, good for people wanting to get mortgages and car loans and those kinds of things, but is what it is, and we're doing the best we can with our investments. Answer any questions you have about that.
Any questions on the investment report? All right, resolution authorizing participation in Texas Connect investment pool.
Okay, this kind of goes along with the investment report. As you know, we invest in a lot of different vehicles for investment purposes, and this one just gives us another option to invest in or have our investment advisory company invests with. This is a new pool that's out there that we can invest in that's very liquid, and we can kind of play whichever one's doing the best at whichever given time. So doesn't mean we'll invest any or much. We'll just see how the market works with it. So.
Any questions on this resolution? All right, 7.04, CSP 24-20, emergency generator replacement. Mr. Kerbo. Thank you, Dobie.
Well, good evening. As you recall, information in the Friday update described this project as one of the priorities of the bond program. The generator that backs up our network operations center over at Pat Mays, 25 years old and has reached the end of its useful life, needless to say. We had difficulties during the year and didn't have use of it for about 8 weeks due to parts not being available and so forth. So we contracted with a consultant to develop specifications and submitted or solicited proposals from vendors. And what you have is the recommendation for CEC Facilities Group to be awarded this purchase. They've done this for a number of districts throughout the company, come recommended by our engineer firm.
All right, any questions on the emergency generator replacement? Okay, 7.05, RFP 24-16, construction manager software.
Okay, it's not customary for us to bring the highest priced proposal to you for any kind of purchase unless there's significant justification for doing so. Managing our construction projects under the bond is a high priority to maintain, coordination of this effort through all of our construction partners on the district side, architects, engineers, construction managers, and general contractors, and all of their subcontractors. So we looked at a number of systems. The three that we narrowed it down to are listed there in the Friday update and then this agenda item as well. We looked at the product demonstrations, and after we did that, we did another assessment to determine which one was best suited for this. So there are limitations to all of them as far as the ones that were not the ones that being recommended. So we feel it's important to have something that's widely used among the construction community, something that has sufficient storage of all of our data. You can imagine the amount of data that's going to be incorporated in this, and then a tool that will collaborate with all of these individuals into one spot right there. So that's our recommendation.
All right. Did you have anything to add, Josh, or no? Are there any questions on this software?
What construction management software is Juris using right now?
They're Procore.
Why are we buying Procore?
It's important for us to have our own license because if we were to collaborate in their license, that's all we would get is the projects that they're doing. This one allows us to do the projects that are with managed core services and any of our job order contracts that like with MART and other vendors. So plus, we can set up our own user access in their profile so that they can participate. Otherwise, we'd be limited with what Juris would allow us to do, and we would not own the data. And I think that's probably the most important component, that we need to own this data once we have an input.
All right, so is this what Core uses also?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So how does this fit in with the work that we're doing with, trying to remember the name of the construction management company that we just started using on an ad hoc basis?
With
PHC
HPM?
HPM?
Yeah. They're familiar with Procore, and I think they've recently adopted this as their official tool for collaboration.
Okay.
What data
We
would we
did
not
ask
have-
I'm sorry.
What data would we not have access to if we were a registered user under Juris's Procore account?
Anything that's generated through Joris for like the request for information, their subcontractor information, and so forth, that would not be readily available to us. This allows it to be available to all of our direct awarded contractors and subcontractors.
Have we asked
in the
Juris
cloud.
to make their RFIs available to everybody working on the projects?
That we communicate within there, and we do have the RFI trail, but when we want to have that information, I can go to our dashboard and I can pull all of our information, everything from contracts to financials all the way through. And then we can also then flip that, use that internally, create our own projects, and then be able to track our own data and information. The challenge with big jobs is just the mass. It's a massive data and being able to keep all that in one place. The challenge with small jobs, there's sprints. And so being able to have all that in one place rather than us chasing spreadsheets and different files and different drives and that kind of thing is be able to have one-stop shop for us to have every bit of that information. And then bringing somebody in like HPM, they have one location, which they're already using, that they could go there, they can audit all that information and be able to do that faster.
What I don't understand is we've got a general contractor with Procore. We've got a construction manager at risk, who I imagine has Procore. We've got a owner's rep that I imagine has Procore. I don't understand the upside for this price for us to have our own Procore. Tell me why.
What I've had in the past is I've had an account which I have to log into. I have to go into that and then go into each individual project to be able to utilize it from Core, from Mart, from Reader, from Joris, from the different contractors. But you don't have that same, I don't have the same availability to all the information versus just being able to read the files that are just no different than that's when I share a document and you have read access versus being able to edit or be able to manipulate that data.
What I don't understand is what information we need to put our hands on that we can't, especially with our owner's rep and our construction manager at risk, and our good relationship with our GC for this price.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand what this gets us that we don't currently have with a couple more clicks.
I wouldn't have any reporting, so that's one of the things we really want to be able to do is to bring all the financial reporting, schedules, all that, and be able to control all that on our own versus being able to go in and just print off of their site to bring in. But I still don't have the same level of reporting off of that.
What level of reporting does our owner's rep have that we don't have?
I have nothing right now. Spreadsheets is what I have.
What are you not getting access to that this will give us access to?
Again, all the financials in one location to where I can just go and pull that when I need it and at a moment's notice. We do have schedules, but I have to log into theirs instead of having all that in our own dashboard and be able to look at that to bring down any type of reports you might need.
Is there any piece of information you can't get your hands on, whether through logging in, through their Procore, or going to different platforms? Is there any piece of information that you do not have access to right now that buying this Procore system will allow us to have access to?
Not so much they don't have access to it, is that all of it in one location. So right now, contracts would be in one drive in purchasing unless I download those to a different drive. Being able to have all that information, just go to one project and I have square footage, square cost, all those documents, plus contracts and schedules and all the RFIs, all the ASIs, and be able to go through all that in one location, that's where all that it would be. Versus what I have from them is I'll have their RFIs, their schedules, and that's it. I have no financials really through the contractor's site.
Yeah, I mean, we understand the convenience of it. I mean, it's a lot of money, so just wanting to understand the return on investment for it, that's...
My return on investment is being able to get to that information quickly at a moment's notice versus I don't have all that information. Whether it's not that maybe I don't have access to it, it's that they're not collecting that type of information that we would be putting in there so that we could pull it back at one time.
So who would be doing most of the driving on this? Would this be PHC?
HPM is our consultant. No, it would be driven by us. And so I think you asked a question about the integration time, and they have provided us 12 months. 12 months is not what we're really needing to be able to get integrated and up to speed because we're just now getting started with these jobs. We really wouldn't go back and put any of those other information in there. The other piece to answer your question, Chris, is we're supposed to have data analytics that would be built into this software, which I wouldn't have access to that because I'm a reader only on top of a contractor's site, instead of us being able to have our own data analytics that we should be able to run analysis on our own information.
Yeah, so that's a question that I had asked Josh earlier today was when we were looking at the breakdowns. The other two said that their implementation time was like 6 weeks to 12 weeks, something like that. And this one said 12 months. I'm like, well, 12 months is going to be too late. It takes us 12 months to get up and running. Right. So, but it's actually a 12-month support package, basically, that they are there to hold our hand and walk us through things.
The other big thing we saw a difference in pricing. The pricing came from the amount of data that was being held. So when you're seeing just, let's just say a couple hundred gigs or something like that, I carry around a drive that is either I've got a 1.5 to a 3 terabyte drive that's in my bag. And so it amazes me that we're limited to gigs of data when what we're producing in construction would be ASIs. Yeah, it's a PDF document, but you can imagine also running anything with a picture, with a drawing, anything like that. The amount of data that's going to start producing is going to start escalating very quickly.
Yeah, just the ease of carrying that data around with you in a drive versus having it in a system, safety-wise for that. I mean, if that drive were to break,
yes,
where would we be?
Yeah, that's why I have multiple backups to ghost my own data to make sure that I can have that. And then the other piece too, like you were saying, there's to be able to have access to that. We're in the cloud now. We're not in a drive in a bag or anything like that.
Are we limited to the number of users? So if there's other people on your team or whatever that need access?
No, not on this one.
So you're going to be able to have this information so that you can analyze maybe what's going on the project ahead of?
Everything from square foot cost to pricing, bidding, that type of thing. Yes, anything and that's why we saw the type of people who we're working with. There's other systems out there, but everybody who we're already working with already have familiarity with that. So it helps us to be able to get that data drawn down into the system to where we could be able to utilize that better. And every other system, our CMMS, we try to take that and maximize it to its, to the highest level. And this is what we're expecting to do. We want to get this and be able to maximize every bit of the system that we possibly can.
Is Juris going to continue to use their Procore system?
Are they going to continue? Yeah, they're just now basically doing like we are. They're just now coming online. They had this in the background and were running it through a couple of their departments. They did RFQs and we're trying to find out what the best system was. Same thing for HPM. They ran through and qualified because we also got some of our information for our evaluation.
So they're going to continue their Procore platform. Are we going to mirror ours, or are we going to ask them to input the information into their Procore and then input the same information to our Procore?
They're basically if I can imagine both systems, they're going to plug into one another and the information just travel back and forth. That's a good point is if we were on a different system.
If we are sharing that information, what's the difference between doing that and having them give us user access with no restrictions?
We'd still be a user, so I wouldn't have all the data analytics or any of that type of information that would be able to be utilized. I don't believe, so from what I've seen so far, though, on my dashboards as just a user, I don't get the same kind of information that I would get as if I was the owner and be able to manipulate that data.
So Can you give an example about what you're going to do why are you trying to manipulate the data? I mean, what advantage is that going to bring to this project, I guess?
Okay, so let's use the elementary school as a good example. Working with our architects, working with us, we'd be able to look in there into what were our RFIs. RFIs are basically a question. What's the requesting information about something that was in the job? So your RFIs and your change orders are going to tell you at the end of the job things that you had questions or it could have been a cost increase. In this case, we'd go back and we'd look at all of our RFIs and our COs and see on our next elementary, what can we do to improve and make that better? So the reason we're able to bring back the amount that we brought tonight for our change order was that doing that on each one of the jobs, we're trying to refine that down to where if it's a prototype and you're manufacturing a car, it gets smoother and easier the better you go. So the changes now we're looking at is what we're trying to figure out where that's going to be, where we're going to have those issues. Where we usually have the issues is when we're tying the different components in on a unique or new site. So take Wilshire for an example. Wilshire, we would think it'd be great because it's, it seems like it's got a lot of land, but it's not. It has a huge elevation change. So we're already seeing a cost difference between Wilshire and Hurst-Hills, which Hurst-Hills has elevation change, just not as drastic. So we can look in there and be able to see, okay, where are we going to have any issues looking forward to future jobs and be able to manage that. And like I said, too, being able to utilize this system for ourselves with our jocks, being able to manage, we don't get the same level of contractor, and I don't mean this in a bad way, it's just a smaller contractor is not going to come with the same amount of support that, say, somebody like Core or Joris is going to come with. So when you start looking at the different tier type contractors, we then start switching into a role of more, instead of a receiver, more of a driver, and we want this information, so then we dictate and have a system on our own that we can then contain, manage, and operate that data, if that makes sense.
So Josh, I know we're all peppering you with some questions and approaching this from different angles. Since it matches our vendor, but we're having our own, and yet your rubric shows that this is the number 2 option out of 5 committee members and number 3 option for price, and you guys are picking something differently. Is there any advantage to going with the number 1 option since we can't use their license anyway? I mean, walk me through one sentence as to why you're overriding your committee on this recommendation on your rubrics.
So the committee was made up of everything from IT. We had some IT, we had construction manager, we had our business manager, our coordinator in maintenance and operations. All of us came at it from a different perspective. It was good on conversations with our IT because they were saying, they were listening to the language and different things like that. As far as a user, where you're looking to pay the difference, we had two models or 2 of the products that look very similar. They all 3 came from essentially a different angle. Procore comes from construction and then started moving into helping support the owner and has been able to take on that. And they've been doing this for so long. Part of that robust cost also brings a very salient and clear image and product. You have another one that's coming from just the owner. So they started with the owner side, and they were doing all the financials and moved the other direction. A little bit different company. They're moving that direction. The one in the middle, it's really where they started. They were in the middle, and they went in both directions. They wanted to have a little bit of an owner, but a little bit of the contractor, and so they kind of built themselves out. So we saw 3 very distinct different angles of basically you could get at the software. What we saw in the end was, for the people who were going to use it and have to interface into it, Procore is one of the better ones. The other thing too was came with that was having everybody who be working around us. We don't like kind of what Matt said. We don't have time to have a lag or a delay to jump into this. Everybody's already up to speed. It's a product that's in the market and already has interfaces with other software or other components like DocuSign and many other things that can plug straight into it. And it's a known product that they already know all the issues. So any concerns of moving over to another software that's still working to get there versus having one that already has all that worked through?
In the final evaluation, it was ranked number 1. All right, any additional questions? Okay, 7.06, TA, qualitative versus quantitative compliance methods. I think this is...
It's still you. Sorry. Thought I was one more down the list. This very simply is, we did this one with the elementaries. I think in the, I put in the Friday update is the slideshow. I don't know if you looked at the PowerPoint for that. Basically, it's the same thing, but remember, we have to do this for each project that we would have that is, so we did for elementary, and you're going to be educating children, then we have to do it for the next one, so the high schools. We looked at 1701. I don't know that we're going to have to do that because of it being more of an augmented space and the number of students that are there. We may not have to, but that'd be the next one. If I bring in one, I'll be bringing that one. But this is, just so you know, it's a little bit weird. I actually sat on the committee who helped develop this. So one of the things we didn't think about was if you're kind of on the fence, and with our high schools and the way we're setting, we may have had to switch over to the qualitative method, but we weren't real sure until we could run everything out. So that's why we're coming to you now to recommend the quantitative method is the one we'd be able to utilize this time.
All right, any questions? Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
7.07, TASB Board Policy Update 123, revisions to localized policy.
So these are the subsequent policies that you would have the opportunity to approve at second reading. And are there any questions?
Any questions on the policy changes? Thank you, Cicely. 7.08, network management and cybersecurity software.
Good evening. So it is renewal season in the technology department, and this first one is a list of cybersecurity and network management tools that we use. As a reminder, GoGuardian and GoGuardian Beacon are the tools that we use to monitor students' computers, almost like a mini web filter that goes along with our Content Keeper. The other three are cybersecurity tools that we will use. The KnowBe4, the very last one, is a tool that will align with our strategic plan and helping us with our staff recognition of cybersecurity. Some of those schemes that Casey has been running, those are part of our KnowBe4.
All right. Any questions on this cybersecurity software? All right. Cisco Voice over IP equipment.
So we are up for renewal for our routers that go with our internet phone service. So this is just a renewal and an upgrade of those services.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Replacement of student devices.
So these are student devices that are used by students. They are desktops in student labs in addition to laptops that are used by our IB students.
Any questions on student devices? 7.11, replacement of administrative devices.
Same thing, they're at their end of life, and so it's just the opportunity to continue our rollout of new devices.
All right. Have you used all that 2018 bond money yet?
Yes, sir. We did. I asked Dobie today, I said, are you going to get to share the good news? And so we have, and we're very excited about that.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Hopkins. 7.12, international student travel. Any questions on this trip? Looks like a lot of fun. Yeah. All right, we're ready for action items. 8.01, consider approval of donations for the October regular board meeting, presentation of certificates of appreciation. I'll accept the motion.
I move the board approve the October 2024 donations as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the October 2024 donations as presented. Please vote. And that motion passes. 8.02, consider approval of campus improvement plans. Dr. Johnson?
So our campuses have been hard at work trying to do the work of improving student outcomes. What you have in your packets is all of their hard work with their campus improvement plans, and so we ask for you to consider approval.
All right, any questions? I'll accept the motion.
I move the board approve the campus improvement plans as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the campus improvement plans as presented. Please vote. And that motion passes. 8.03, consider approval of update to 2024-2025 staffing table. Ms. Tuttle?
You had an opportunity to read about this in the Friday update. Are there any questions?
Any questions on the staffing table? I'll accept the motion.
I move the board approve the new units as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the new unit as submitted. Please vote. That motion passes. 8.04, consider approval of updates to the 2024-2025 supplemental duty pay schedule.
Occasionally, we have a need to bring updates to rates to you during the school year in order to remain competitive. One of the areas where we have had a difficulty recruiting and retaining help is in our part-time temporary rates. And so these are individuals who we rely heavily upon, but they're individuals who come in on part-time temporary basis occasionally and sporadically to help us with various jobs throughout the district. Some of those are clerical during the school year, and then some of them are in our auxiliary services. And then we also have special summer rates in our auxiliary services areas. And so we're coming to you tonight to update several of those rates in order to remain competitive and be able to have individuals want to continue to help us with some of the work that needs to be done on a project-based scenario. Are there any questions?
All right. Any questions on the updates to the supplemental duty pay? I'll accept the motion.
I move the board approve the updates to the 2024-2025 supplemental duty pay schedule as submitted.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the updates to the 2024-2025 supplemental duty pay schedule as submitted. Please vote. That motion passes. Thank you. We're ready for open forum number 2. All right. We have one speaker turned in, and Mr. Bennett. I think you know the routine.
Got it. Good evening, Dr. Joe and board. My name is Daniel Bennett. I live in White Settlement. I'm here to speak to you on a couple issues about the appraisal district, not necessarily the nomination. Ms. Syed and I were at the Louisville ISD here just here last couple hours. That's why we weren't here at 6. TAD was not on their agenda. I was very upset. Denton was. They only have 5 votes, but their 5 votes is as important as your 200 votes or however many you have. We need to change the way we appoint candidates. Everyone should be on an equal footing, and we need to address that. But I want to talk to you, which I had 1 minute at their, because I was what they call me, a non-custodial holder or a non-participant in their districts. I had 1 minute. What can you say in 1 minute? Except thank you very much. Tell a joke and sit down. But I did tell them about the $5.6 million building that I put on their roll. That building was dirt worked in 2019, completed February of 2021. It was a 2-acre residential lot, non-developed, sat there for 4 years. They benefited 0. So I told their CFO, be on the outlook for it. I didn't even have enough time to give them the address. But that's on them. I did what I could do. I drove 54 minutes to inform them. Well, I'm here to talk to you about new construction, which I think you understand it's always been a big proponent of what TAD has been not doing. But I was at the October 23rd Haltom City meeting where Purdue, Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mott, they work for the appraisal district. They work for many appraisal districts, and Haltom City hired them to go knock on doors to businesses that are not paying their taxes. They haven't even filed a rendition. They took the top 45 businesses in Haltom City, knocked on their doors, and gave them an estimated tax bill and said, you need to file your rendition. All that's online. You can watch the presentation from the gentleman from Purdue and Brandon. Now, why is that important? We need to audit Tarrant County. We need to audit 2 municipalities. We need to audit 1 ISD, and we need to audit 1 of the Tarrant County College. They can overlap a little, but you really don't want them overlapping in growth areas. Because we have new businesses coming in that didn't, the guy said, they didn't even know they owed taxes. Now imagine that. Their roll was certified and 45 businesses was left off the certified roll. So I want to impress upon you when you do your nominations, these are several of the issues that that person needs to consider. There's more, but thank you for your time as always. You've always been a great board. Thank you.
All right, we're ready for other business. Opportunity for board members to request items be placed on future board agendas. Does anybody have anything? I think I'm going to request something tonight. And Josh and Dobie, I think one of the issues that the board has been having is that this is a bigger bond that we've ever worked with, and we're having a hard time visualizing the structure of how these projects are being controlled and operated and who's responsible for what. So, you know, there's an understanding that with a bigger bond, it's going to be more overhead and more work that needs to be done. But I think it'd be great for us to have a presentation, whether you do it with the contractors or with the architects, to where the board can get a better understanding of how the pieces go together. I mean, there's a bunch of pieces out there, but we don't understand the puzzle. So that everyone would kind of be on the same page so that we can have a better understanding of when things get brought that are going to cost money, about exactly how they fit into the bigger picture, so the board can understand that without kind of guessing and assuming and things like that. Second. So, all right. Got it, Joe? All right. I apologize. The board activity chart died with me, so Ms. Cole has it now. I think we're pretty well covered with it. I want to remind, I think we all got a invitation to participate in the homecoming parade for Bell. We have a board meeting during the Trinity one, but I think Ms. Cole is going to that one.
We did get an invitation to that too,
Yeah.
but because we all have commitments, I will represent for us and go to the other commitment late.
Okay. So if anybody wants to participate in the Bell one, please respond to the email and let them know so that they can get you situated in a vehicle. Okay, discussion of the HEB ISD Legislative Priorities 89th session. Mr. Campos, has your name on it?
So I'll be brief. Couple things just worth noting. As you know, as far as me and Dawn have been working, and we've also been working with Julie. Thank you guys. I've gotten to participate in LAC this year. And also want to say Julie Cole has been the vice chair of TASB Legislative Committee. You'll see in your Friday update or also on this agenda just a couple points that we've put together for HEB's legislative priorities. A couple little call outs I just want to bring your attention to. Again, the advocacy goal team has been Dawn, myself, and Julie. Dr. Harrington, we discussed him, documents initial thoughts on the development of the 89th legislature. Of course, I told you the work that Julie Cole has been doing. In addition, Dr. Harrington gathered input from the executive leadership team for these priorities. And then our goal tonight is that we would bring the finalized legislative priorities to the board and recommend for approval on October 21st. Any questions?
Fred, you need to start over.
Sorry, yeah. We got
Did I miss an opportunity to say hi to your kids?
Yeah. All right.
The short version is we've worked on this. This is really good. I think you guys will look at it.
I wanted to say I really like the new format. I mean, the old format was just bullet point, bullet point, bullet point.
Yeah.
And this is much more keeping the first thing, and it'll be much easier to use this document to focus a legislator on what we really care about than what we've done previously.
I just want to add to what Matt had just told us. Before, we've always given legislators like 10 things to focus on, and this is really down to 1 or 2. It's that commercial where we can express what we need in about 10 seconds or less. I think we need to laser in on those 2 things. So there you go.
You know, one thing I'll share is Brandon and I were reporting or working with the REV group, which represents all the Tarrant County districts, and we use this as an example of what your board can come up with as we talked as superintendents as to what are our priorities within that rep group. What was interesting was how many hadn't gone through a similar process and really wanted copies once this was approved to share because they wanted to create the same thing.
So thank you for your work on that, and we look forward to using this in the upcoming legislative session. Hopefully we can get some stuff done this time.
That's excellent. Thank you, guys.
10.04, consider approval of resolution of Tarrant County Appraisal District Board of Directors nomination of candidates. Were there any questions on this? And I'll accept the motion. Do you have?
Can we do a motion or one discussion?
Oh.
I move the board approve the resolution to nominate Mr. Campos to serve on the Tarrant Appraisal District Board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the resolution to nominate Fred Campos to serve on the Tarrant Appraisal District Board for 2025, 2026. Please just vote. This is a voting action item, right? So please vote. And that motion passes. Congratulations, Fred. You're nominated.
In the future, we'll have more discussions of how we want to, make our votes. There are other people in the room. Saeed, hi. But this is the nomination part. This is the beginning part.
All right. No need for a second closed session? All right. I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We're adjourned.
What do I have to do?